I haven't willingly used Vive trackers in about 9 months. That's all because of FluxPose, the EMF tracker that raised over $4 million on Kickstarter. I really loved it when I first tried it out, but that begs the question, how has it held up over longer term use? For the most part, extremely well. I've encountered a few things that have given me problems, but this beta kit is still more reliable than most finished hardware I own. If I'm doing something where I'm able to choose the trackers I'm using, I'm picking FluxPose every single time. I've never stopped while using it and thought to myself, damn, I really wish I was using Lighthouse trackers instead right now. It just works better for me in every single way except accuracy. Lighthouse tracking is supposedly more accurate, but I've personally never noticed it under regular use. I also never realized how annoying occlusion can be until getting used to not dealing with it for months. I have certain clothes I used to avoid wearing when I knew I would be playing VR that day because they would block my Vive trackers. Now I can just throw FluxPose on and not have to worry about any of that. I can also walk behind my desk or walk over into the next room to do something without losing tracking. And yeah, this has been possible on slimes for years, but it's just still so crazy to me to be able to do it with Lighthouse tracking level accuracy. I've even been using FluxPose to track gloves, and it just makes them so much more usable. The trackers are smaller and lighter than everything else I own, which does end up making the gloves a bit more comfortable. More importantly, they wobble around on the back of my hand a lot less. Obviously, the size is a benefit for full body tracking too. I definitely find myself kicking my feet trackers against stuff way less frequently. I also almost miss having the bigger waist tracker as a warning of I'm swinging a bit too close to my crotch. Wobbling has never really been that big of a concern for me on body tracking though. Other people on VR chat will barely see it because of network smoothing. If it bothers you that much, you can just run some kind of local smoothing. And you can also just get better straps that don't move around on your body as much. FluxPose also already has a really good option for that too. Viro VR's comfort straps have really impressed me for not only FluxPose, but also Slime VR trackers too. They might even end up getting their own video, so let me know if that's something you want to see. The last big thing for me is how FluxPose handles wireless and the dongle. Watchman is undoubtedly the most annoying wireless standard I deal with regularly. Every tracker needs its own dongle. You have no control over the frequencies it operates on, and it's just so prone to causing interference with everything, including itself. Not having to worry about having 2 different USB hubs plugged in, or if I have my dongles spaced out enough, is great. I just plug the dock in, and it works without causing interference to most things. The Mod Mic Wireless is still the only device I have that FluxPose has caused wireless interference with. It's almost 100% the Mod Mic's fault. Just buy a modern wireless mic, people. Most of them are cheaper and sound better than that thing anyways. However, that isn't the only problem I've run into with FluxPose. A big one is not having a mount made for a headset. Like, yeah, it's not necessarily hard to do, but it certainly is annoying. Especially when you have a bunch of headsets that don't have a mount yet. I don't own a 3D scanner, most companies don't provide CAD files, and it's just an ordeal to try and get something to fit. Realistically, this isn't that big of an issue. Most people don't own 50 headsets on top of dealing with multiple loaner ones for videos. Even if they do, more mounts are gonna exist once the hardware is readily available, whether those come from FluxPose themselves or from people making their own. What can be a problem is a mount that gets in the way. The Quest 3 mount currently uses the top strap hole to help with alignment. While certain straps have really thick top straps that aren't able to fit into that hole when FluxPose is there. From what I understand, none of the mounts that exist right now are the final versions, so hopefully the final Quest 3 mount causes less issues with that. Both of those things are side effects of requiring a mount that can't move around at all. I do think that requirement ends up being a net positive though. If I take my headset off to go to the bathroom or do whatever else, the trackers will be in the right spot when I put it back on. With Lighthouse tracking, you often have to recalibrate or or wait for continuous calibration to catch back up. I haven't had any issues with mounts moving around over time when using double-sided tape. Everything still feels as accurate as the day I put it on. Even removable mounts like the Galaxy XR one are able to be taken off and put back on without needing to redo any sort of calibration. The absolute biggest problem I've run into is using my Galaxy XR with Virtual Desktop. I know the mount and calibration file I have are good because if I use ALVR or Steam Link, everything works perfectly fine. The moment I try and use Virtual Desktop though, it just doesn't work right. Thankfully, the modded Steam Link APK supports face tracking now, so I don't really care what happens on Virtual Desktop. I've personally always preferred Steam Link anyways, but I do hope FluxPose is able to figure out what is going on with Virtual Desktop. It's also worth mentioning this only happens with my Galaxy XR. The developer of Space Calibrator is able to use FluxPose with theirs just fine. I know our sample size is 2, but I'm just gonna go with mine hates me or something. A big concern for a lot of people is FluxPose's durability, and unfortunately I can't really tell you how that's gonna be on the final trackers. My beta kit is 3D printed and the production sets are all gonna be injection molded. For anyone curious, everything I have is doing really good. The only thing that could be considered a problem is that a lot of my trackers have scuffs on them from rubbing against the mounts in the dock. It's the most noticeable on my headset tracker since some of my headset mounts that I've printed myself are kinda iffy compared to what they sent to me. Nothing is cracked or physically broken though. I've sat on stuff, kneeled on it, and at one point even full force launched a tracker against my wall while trying to play Beat Saber with it. That one still works though. This is easily the best charging dock for any VR product ever. Everything still slides in and out of it super easily. Despite that, I can shake my entire desk or even flip the dock completely upside down and smack it, and everything in it will keep charging. The batteries also seem to be holding up well. During long sessions, I've never had a tracker die on me. Same thing with the beacon. Even on performance mode, I've never been able to kill it. I always put everything back in the dock when I'm done using it, so it seems like whatever built-in power management it has is doing its job. The last thing I want to mention is that all of my mounts still hold trackers just fine. I've never had anything fall out of one even during intense movements. In fact, all these months later, I still have a few that are difficult to get trackers out of. And a lot of the mounts I've printed myself, I don't even use magnets in them since they hold fine without them. I almost forgot to mention anything about metal, and that's kinda just because it isn't a problem for me at all. So I actually ended up getting a new bed between now and my last video on FluxPose, so I'll show you what it does on this one, because my old bed was the only thing I would consider metal distortion to actually be a problem with. So this one is on just a metal frame, and it's a newer mattress, but it still has springs in it. I don't have metal distortion on, and like if I put this up here on the metal frame, you can see that sometimes it moves. I'm just sliding it straight up and down, and when it hits the top here, it kind of drifts to the side a bit. Yeah, not bad. I have to literally be sandwiching it in between the very top of the frame and then the side leg there, so this is like the biggest piece of metal I have, so not that bad. And I can just get on the bed and nothing's happening. It's working completely as intended. And like I said, this mattress has springs in it. The difference with these newer spring mattresses is that each spring has its own pocket, whereas with older ones, it's like one big structure, I'm pretty sure, and that causes a lot of problems, apparently. But yeah, this newer one, no problems. It is a 12-inch thick mattress, though, so I'm not sure if, like, a 6-inch or an 8-inch might have problems, but this 12-inch doesn't. So I just have literally nothing that FluxPose has problems with in regards to metal distortion, so that's pretty cool. Overall, I can't see a world where FluxPose doesn't become the new standard for high-end full-body tracking. The few problems I've run into with it are a lot less annoying than the problems I tend to encounter on other systems. It may surprise you to hear I haven't actually ordered a production set of my own yet. This beta kit already does everything I need it to do, so why spend the money? Considering the production units are supposed to be better than what I have, FluxPose is definitely worth what they're charging. I just hope it doesn't get delayed too much. I'd like to take a second to thank my channel members with an extra big thanks to Sync for the Win, Rikachu EX, Yobo's Extras, Senko Loaf, Easy Red, Lady Alarith, and Neo X470. If you want to support the channel past just subscribing, becoming a member is a great way. All members get early access to new videos, and Tier 2 and above members get some exclusive ones.